Okay, I think that is live. That's my line. Hello, hello. Welcome to Turn15 channel for a brand new season of Formula One. Finally, finally, thank the Lord for it's back. Formula One racing is back for 2024. A brand new season, 24 races this year. We'll see if we can get them all in. They've tried it twice, 24 races in a year. They've never got it done before, so we'll see if there will be another flood or civil unrest or goodness knows what. We might actually get 24 races this year. Anyway, hello, hello. I hope you're all doing well. It's been a big off season, a long off season. As you can see, I've got brand new digs. Still got the same old visitor who will be popping by every now and then. Say hello, little man. So, a bit of new digs, a bit of a new look for the channel. Let me know what you think. And if it's not a super chat, then I won't pay attention to whatever your opinion is. Anyway, So, Bahrain Grand Prix. First race of the year. Saturday night race. Very, very strange. Not very used to that. In fact, the weird thing is it would have been, nearly 40 years between Saturday races in F1 history. And now we're doing 3 of the last 4, including Saudi next week, will have been on Saturday. It's like buses, isn't it? You're right, mate. Anyway, where am I? I'm all out of focus here. Now, so, lots of news in the off-season. Whole lot of news. Probably the biggest news, the most seismic news, the news that nobody saw coming. The champion is leaving the building. That's right, Brody Kostecki is leaving Erebus Racing. God knows where he's going to turn up. But also, it's slightly less important news rather. Lewis Hamilton is leaving Mercedes at the end of the season. The end of 2024, Lewis Hamilton gone. He will be going to Ferrari. I don't know why. I guess he likes punishment. He's signed up for the hurt locker, the hurt box that is the Ferrari Formula One team. He says that he wants to win a championship again. I don't know how the fuck he's going to do it there. I mean, if Leclerc can't do it, if Vettel can't do it, if Alonso can't do it. There's been a lot of personnel changes at that team. Fred Vasseur is running it now, but fundamentally that team is just the hot garbage pile that it has been for the last, goodness me, nearly a decade and a half now. So, fuck, I mean, I think Lewis is the ultimate shitness test. If Hamilton cannot win a championship at Ferrari, then forget about it. Nobody can. What else have we got? Horner investigation has been very interesting the last couple of weeks. It was very secretive. Basically, it came out, it emerged, apparently in the Dutch media it first emerged, that Christian Horner was under investigation by Red Bull itself after an internal complaint was made about his conduct. Now, I thought that maybe there was a lot of secrecy about it and a lot of, basically a lot of details were being kept under wraps by Red Bull and by everybody involved. There wasn't a whole lot to go off, so it couldn't really judge anything about the whole thing. All we knew was that Horner was under investigation and then that was happening and eventually it would all get good. It would resolve itself. Now, Red Bull came out in the week and said that they've basically dismissed it. It's fine. There's nothing to see here, sort of thing. And I mean, I was okay with that because I didn't know any of the details. And then no sooner had that announcement been made that somebody, somewhere, sent a whole bunch of leaked documents to journalists, to team bosses, to the FIA, to fucking everybody with an email address who's important. So if you didn't get one, maybe try harder at work. And the content's honestly pretty fucking embarrassing, so, I didn't go through all of them. I don't really give a shit about that sort of stuff. I mean, either he'll turn up at the next race or he will be banned and kicked out of F1 or fired by Red Bull. It doesn't really make a difference right now. It might make a big difference down the line to the Red Bull team. Maybe Max isn't that hot on staying with Red Bull without Christian Horner because, he's manned it. He's been the top dog every single year. Ever since they first came into Formula One in 2005 when they bought out Jaguar. So between Mattershit's falling, you're right, mate. Sorry, my little partner's starting to make a fuss down here. But yeah, between Dietrich Mateschitz dying a couple of years ago and Helmut Marko being on very shaky ground at Red Bull, there's a lot of rumours that there's a bit of a power struggle going on, that the new brass in charge of Red Bull itself aren't that hot on Helmut Marko. He was more of Mateschitz's right-hand man, one of his generals, so he's got a very abrasive style, Helmut Marko does as well, so I can imagine maybe he's not... Oh, as I'm hearing radio from... Who was that? Logan Sargent, something about tyres. What was I saying? Something about Helmut Marko. Yeah, either way, Christian Horner investigation. It looks pretty embarrassing, mostly because, I mean, I have seen better sex talk out of fucking teenagers, honestly. Like, this shit's just humiliating. It's a real shame, but whatever. What else? There's a lot to catch up on, actually, now that I think about it. Andretti. The Andretti team, they got told no. Unbelievable. I cannot... I'm still trying to process that news, to be honest. So, the Andretti organization, IndyCar champions, Indy 500 winners, they got a team in the V8, they got a team in World RX, they do the whole road to Indy ladder. They know how to race cars. They're a proper professional team. They've got ties with Honda, they've got ties with Ford in Australia, they've got ties with GM. They had a GM deal, and GM said that they themselves were under the what are they called? Starts with a C. I'm blanking now. It's very late in the day. Not Pontiac. What's the other one? Cadillac. Under the Cadillac banner. They were going to make engines. Well, initially they were going to badge the engines, a lot like Ford's doing with Red Bull from 2026. But GM said that they were committed. Probably. They're leaning towards it. I don't know if they've confirmed it yet, but they were leaning towards making their own engine from 2028 onwards, and then that would be powering the Andretti car. So GM would be entering Formula One for the first time ever, which I never thought would happen. GM is very American. They've got NASCAR, they've got IndyCar, you know, they're like a lot of American sports. As long as it's American-centric, then that's all they really care about. But GM were maybe going to come into Formula One with Andretti. That's what it looked like. That's what they were proposing. And then the FIA said, yes, we'd love to have you on board because we've got room for at least 12 teams. And Liberty Media and the F1 teams and F1 in general said no. So I am personally absolutely fucking flabbergasted that the FIA, or not the FIA rather, the F1 and Liberty Media would turn down General Motors. Initially they said... this news came out a while. I'm assuming that you've probably seen it. But essentially they said, we don't think that you're going to be competitive enough to start in 2025 and then have to build a new car for 2026. And basically, if you do have an engine in 2028, then you can come back then and do things just right. You're right, mate. I think my little buddy is very excited for the start of the season, as am I. Either way, Andretti got snubbed. It's absolutely fucking bullshit, and it has done the effect of making me completely fed up with watching Haas do absolutely nothing on the grid for God knows how long they're going to be sticking around for, but it's it's a real shame either way. But anyway, that was then, this is now, and here we are on the Sky broadcast seeing the grid. Now, the grid is... The qualifying times were very close this time for this race. They're a lot closer than I thought they would be. Max Verstappen still has about 2/10 on Charles Leclerc in second. Actually, so the grid is Verstappen, Leclerc, Russell, Sainz, Perez, Alonso, Norris, Piastri, Hamilton, Hulkenberg is your top 10, then Tsunoda, Stroll, Albon, Ricciardo, Magnussen, Bottas, Joe, Sargent, Ocon, and Gasly, the two Alpines, dead fucking last, like they thought that they might be after testing and practice. That car looks like a bit of a pig. I thought when they launched it, and it was mostly black, it's going to be overweight. basically. I mean, Alpine is a branding exercise for Renault to try to flog some of their cut price sports cars, and BWT pay a lot of money to have big pink cars on the grid this time of year. They've done it the last couple of years, where the Alpine team would run entirely pink cars at the start of the year. To see a car come out that is just black, to me, immediately said, this fucking thing is overweight. And not only is it overweight, but it looks like it's lacking downforce and a little bit of engine power as well. So not a good opening race in store for Alpine, I get the feeling, and maybe not a good opening part of the season. I'm not sure that they have what it takes to do a McLaren style turnaround from last year. They've sacked a lot of their staff from last year. A lot of the higher ups got moved on. Nothing that they're doing right now is indicating that they're going to be any reasonably more competitive. I mean, when they talk about a 100 race plan to start winning races and competing for championships and things like that, you know, I just think maybe it might be 100,000 at this point. I just don't see it. Not with the way that the team is right now, not with the personnel that they've got, maybe not even with the drivers that they've got. I mean, Gasly and Ocon are decent drivers, but are they elite? I don't think so. I don't think either of them are that elite. I mean, Ocon couldn't replace Bottas at Mercedes after Valtteri's worst season in Formula One ever. Toto Wolff still wasn't convinced enough to put him in the seat, and Gasly has never really convinced me. He had a great season in 2020. He had a good season in 2021. Every now and then he'll show up with some really great drives, but just overall they're missing that X factor. They're missing that X factor that Max and Lewis and Leclerc and the like have. Yeah. As here we go. Tire warmers are coming off already. We've got 2 lights to go, 1 light to go, and then it is the warm-up lap. Oh God, it's been a while. It's been a while. It is so great to be back. I tell you what, it's a whole lot of fun, and about to have a bit of an impact here. Hello. You come back for the start, have you? Looks like everybody's getting off the grid pretty well there. Everyone's starting on the softs now. Red Bull, of the front runners, only Red Bull have new softs to use. Everybody else, until you get down to Stroll, is using used soft tires, and Ferrari unfortunately have used softs and used mediums. They've only got new hard tires, so they had better hope that those things work, or else they are in for a long fucking night of pain. Because not only will they not have speed, they won't have the longevity in the tires either, and it is a very high degradation track. Tires don't tend to last that long around here. Just the asphalt, the tarmac itself is very abrasive, and it tends to just shred tires, especially in the especially in the turn 5, 6, 7, sort of like sweepers, and the sweepers after, what would that be, turn 11, 12-ish? Yeah. Those long corners where it's a long time at high speed where you're really leaning on the wheel, that's when you tend to really chew through your tires. You know, the straights, there's not that much force going through them. And here we are on board with George Russell, the lead Mercedes driver for today. He's starting from 3rd on the grid, so a good start for Russell. Now, it's interesting. Verstappen doesn't look as far ahead as maybe everybody thought he might be, including myself. I was hearing maybe, it's doomsayer sort of news, like Verstappen's going to be like at least a second ahead of the rest. Or Red Bull itself would be at least a second ahead of the rest, and I thought, nah, surely not. I mean, Perez definitely won't be, but, I mean, there he is in 5th, but it looks quite a bit tighter. It's a bit of the convergence, which is what happens over several seasons in Formula One, where there aren't big rule upheavals. There's only one way, basically, to make a car the fastest it can be, and which is why you now see a lot of the grid is starting to imitate what the Red Bull is, because that is the fastest car the fastest car, essentially, that these rules allow. Now, the Red Bull looks a little bit different. They, instead of just sitting on what they've got and refining it, they've jizzed it up a little bit. So you can see just there, Max on the grid, the big shoulders coming out from the back. I don't know. I kind of like those. They look pretty neat. They were on the Mercedes last year, missing this year, but they just look big and meaty. I don't know. I just kind of like them. So here we go. That's Piastri lining up where he's supposed to be. The rest of the grid is filing through onto the grid. On board with Ricardo. Oh, that is a fucking fantastic looking helmet. That is an absolute... I like this one that he's got up here behind me, but that is just... that chrome effect that he's got on it right now, that is just absolute perfection. I didn't even touch on Visa Cash App RB being the worst team name possibly ever, but as I'm going to call them, Red Bullshit. So... here we go. 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights. They're not fucking around. Here we go. Ooh, okay. Russell, not a great start. Verstappen gets a pretty decent start. Oh, there's a lot of sparks flying around. Oh, looks like Hamilton's going to get a bit of a squeeze in the middle there. Oh, that's Stroll. Stroll's gone around. Ah, fuck. That's a shame. Verstappen had legged it. Verstappen's just out of there, so... Russell's having a look at Leclerc now, down into turn 4. It's like nobody's going to have a Grosjean moment, thank goodness. Everybody's starting to get a little bit more single file. So I'll have to look at what happened to Stroll just before. I'll have to see a replay, but if I could tell you what, turn 1, lap 1 of the season, and your car's facing the wrong way. Okay, Hulkenberg, front wing damage. Shit, Hulkenberg started 2 places ahead of Stroll though, so Stroll's had a mega start, or Hulkenberg's had a disaster. So they're all about, and Bottas has dropped right down as well. So I think Bottas might have just been balked by that car just being stuck in the middle of the road right ahead of him. As always, we'll have to wait for the replay on that. So here we go. The first lap of the season is done. Verstappen, Leclerc, Russell, Perez, Sainz, Alonso, Norris, Piastri, Hamilton, Tsunoda in 10th, and Albon knocking on the door of points in 11th. It's like that's Hulkenberg diving into the pits in the back there. Stroll's just continuing as well, so whatever hit that he's copped, it mustn't have done enough damage. You can see little bits of shit, though, all over the road between 1 and 2. See, that's likely to maybe cause a little bit of upset if somebody runs over that shit this quickly in the race and it damages a tyre. So Hulkenberg changing the nose cone and away he goes. Sick of the Haas team, to be honest. Fucking sick of him. Oh, and also, I forgot to mention as well, Günther Steiner, gone. You know. I mean, Steiner and Jailbird Gene Haas, I guess, just had different opinions of how to run this team. Steiner wanted investment, financial investment, and he wanted to bring in fast rookies and things like that. Well, until they got Mazepin, but Gene Haas has essentially said, no, we're not doing that. We will sit at the back of the grid, and I will sit on this thing until somebody comes to pay me out with a whole lot of money. I get the feeling Haas will sell, but it's sort of at that fine line now where I'm not sure F1 teams will get that much more valuable than this. They are riding the wave of a popularity right now, but I look at NASCAR and how popular that was about 20 years ago, and it's nowhere near that anymore. The irony being, I think the on-track product in NASCAR is better now than it was 20 years ago. Ooh. Russell and Leclerc going at it. Russell around the outside. Nailed it. Absolutely nailed it. Well done. Oh, a little bit of a tank slapper on the exit of the corner there, but he's kept onto it. So Verstappen already 1.6 ahead. So yeah, fuck, maybe it is as bad as we'd all feared. Who knows? Oh, big lock up from Leclerc there. Big lock up into turn 10. So Checo's setting sail for him now. We'll see if he can do it. We'll see if Checo can get it done, just like last year. Actually, unlike last year, let's see if Leclerc can actually finish this race. Not that it was his fault, but you know, that's the Ferrari thing. So, on to lap 3 now. And it's mostly as you were. I mean, Verstappen's leading. Russell, Leclerc is your top 3, as it was. Perez, Sainz, 4th and 5th. Alonso's up to 7th. Sonoda's still running 10th. Albon's still 11th. And it looks like it's starting to settle into a little bit of a pre-pit stop procession right now. I mean, the thing is, the Pirelli tires are dog shit, and they will not last being pushed. So you get very quickly when the field starts to gap, as they naturally will. So replay the start. Yeah, it looks like Hulkenberg had a shocker. Sargent didn't have a great start either. And then I think Hulk is just, no good. Bottas got a bit of that too, yeah, so. Wrong place, wrong time for Valtteri. Wrong move for Hulkenberg. Lance Stroll always has a good start though, doesn't he? He's always got a very, very decent start on him. I mean, it's probably because he usually qualifies somewhere around 12th, but it's like a running thing with Lance. He'll qualify mid-grid, maybe lower mid-grid, but then every single race that he starts, he just vaults like 5 or 6 places. Absolutely nails them. So it looks like Verstappen's starting to put a bit of daylight between himself and George Russell. 3.2 seconds it is now. So just replay the lockup from Leclerc. Gets away with it because it's just so much runoff on the outside of that corner there. You know, there's no gravel or anything to sort of catch him out, so it's like a bit of wing debris on the outside of turn 8 there as well. Four seconds now. Right, so it's going to be one of these seasons again, is it? Fucking hell. Alright. Well, in that case, fuck it. If anybody's got anything to put in the chat, you know, feel free. We'll get some sort of discussion going. I mean, I can't even subscribe to the whole, like, just pretend that second is first, and then it's really exciting. Like, yeah, but it's not first, is it? That said, you know, what Verstappen is doing in that car, look at the fucking gap he's got already. Fucking hell. So, you know, the McLarens aren't that fast today as well. I thought that they would have been... I thought that they would have been a lot closer to Red Bull, to Mercedes. I mean, they're ahead of one right now, but it's just more because Hamilton had a bit of a bad day yesterday. But Aston Martin is basically where I thought it would be. You know, it's they got a lot of work to do if they're going to be a consistent front-running team. They had a great head start last year, but it fell away pretty quickly. Yeah, they got a lot of work to do. with their car, with their factory, with their designers, all of it. I mean, they got a brand new factory, so that's a good start. Um, but they're really going to have to. It takes a long time, I think, to really bed in and make a proper go of it in this sport. I mean, Red Bull are so dominant right now, but I remember they came in 2005 and they basically ran a repainted Jaguar, but 2005, 2006, 2007, like none of that was really anything to write home about. 2008, they didn't win a race, but Toro Rosso did. Um, so it took them a good few seasons to really get the ball rolling, but once they did, I mean, once mostly it was Adrian Newey working as magic, and also Ferrari and McLaren just kind of imploding in 2009. But once they got that down, well, they've been front runners basically ever since, apart from a couple of seasons in the mid 2010s when the Renault engine was just a pile of dog dirt. So, I mean, who knows? Aston Martin, I get the feeling they definitely have the ingredients to step up their competitiveness long term. We'll see what happens in terms of their drivers. I think Lance is a lifer there. Science, I have more pace than the guys in front. Okay. I mean, maybe use it. Oh, here we go. Sergio Perez on Charles Leclerc out of turn 10. He's going to get by him as well. Nailed it. Now, he was really, really close there. We just sort of cut to that right in the middle of it. So, to be so close right at the start, basically, of that straight, I wonder if Leclerc's maybe gone deep into turn 10 and just completely fucked that up. I mean, it would explain why Checo was so on him, but who knows, maybe Checo just had a decent run. So Perez 1.2 seconds now to Russell ahead of him, so he's got a little bit of work to do to get ahead. So here we are, lap 8. Verstappen, Russell, Perez, Leclerc, Sainz, Norris, Piastri, Alonso. So Piastri's got by Fernando as well. Good work. And then Hamilton and Tsunoda, that's your top 10. It sounds like Alex Albon is having a bit of a panic attack on his radio. I think they may be having a bit of a disagreement with their... Oh, and look at that. There's the replay. So it was Charles Leclerc fucking up turn 10 after all. You know, you can kind of tell because Perez was so close to him. So close to him right at the start of that straight. And really the only way you do that is either if you're going side by side through the turn before that, or if the guy ahead of you fucks up. Otherwise, you'd only ever get that close at the end of the straight when you've had a decent run at drafting him. So, not good. Not good for Leclerc. Out of the podium places. Started second, now fourth. Not looking that great. So Russell's keeping the gap to Checo, for now at least. Hamilton's still stuck in ninth. Ugh. The Hamilton Alonso, that'll be a fun battle to watch. I hope that they start showing that soon. Two wily old veterans. I'm still processing Hamilton actually leaving Mercedes. I mean, it was a surprise back in the day when he left McLaren. Ooh, another lock-up for Leclerc. I think he's struggling with those tyres now. I mean, it was very surprising when Hamilton did leave back in the day when he left McLaren, but he was... Albon just sounds panicked in his car. Sorry, I've just got the live radio on. Ooh, Sainz with a bit of a lock up there now as well into turn 8. Ferrari look like they're really struggling on their tyres, so it's a bit of what they had last year. But yeah, it's I mean, when Hamilton left McLaren, it was a surprise, but he was still in the Mercedes fold because he's been a Mercedes guy his entire life, basically. I mean, what apart from his go karts or a couple of junior Formula cars, he's always had a Mercedes behind him. So to leave for Ferrari, I think is just it's astonishing. Really is. I never thought I'd see the day. I honestly never thought. Um, I mean, it's not like he's missing a payday from Mercedes. They throw a whole lot of money at him, but they've got that what is it, Initiative 44 or whatever it is that he's running as well. Like they're big backers of that. I guess he just I don't know. Maybe he just has absolutely no faith that Mercedes can deliver what he needs to get his championship, to get his eighth title. As speak of the devil, here he is overtaking Fernando Alonso. Alonso looking a lot less competitive here than he did last year. So, Alonso with the DRS open. Is he going to come back at Hamilton? Not really. So, I'd say Alonso's just conserving his tyres at this point. I mean, he's not really making any sort of hard work at it. He's, oh, yellow flag. Who's that? Logan Sargent pulling off. Oh, now, where is that? The end of the straight at turn 4. Oh, rolling back a little bit. Now, I get the feeling you could probably get away with a VSC here. I don't think you need a full safety car for that. There's nothing on the track that they need to bring marshals on for. He's well off the track. I think a virtual safety car should be able to cover that. Oh, no, he's going again. All right, Control-Alt-Delete, away we go. I get the feeling Sargent's probably going to pull that thing into the pits next time around. Ooh, this is Science on Leclerc. Oh, Science. Oh, that's very, very close between them. Oh, very, very close between the Ferraris there. Science does get ahead. Good lad. Feisty stuff from Carlos. Well done, lad. Well done. Carlos Sainz, by the way, who is out of a job right now for 2025, which is also astonishing. Another part, I think, of the Hamilton to Ferrari thing is I don't know why they're doing it. I don't know why he's doing it, really. I guess maybe he's just fed up of listening to Toto Wolff, or fucking, I don't know. Maybe he just doesn't like the drive to Brackley anymore. Who knows? But that Ferrari are ditching Carlos Sainz for Lewis Hamilton, I think, is short-sighted. And look, I don't think that Sainz is a better driver. I don't think that he's quicker than Lewis Hamilton. I absolutely don't think that. But Leclerc and Sainz are so well balanced. They are harmonious. They can work together. They have different strengths, which builds to a overall skill set that I think is just fantastic. And I really think, as drivers, Ferrari already had basically its perfect pairing, and it could have kept them, I thought, maybe even near the end of the decade. Maybe as long as they oh, Russell's in the pits, Leclerc's in the pits. So one of the Williams is in the pits. So would that be Logan Sargent? It's like one of the Haas's is in the pits as well. How exciting! But yeah, I don't know why Ferrari are doing it. I know Hamilton's there for at least 2025. I don't know how much more mileage you're really going to get out of him beyond that, because he's going to be, I think, 40 when he drives for Ferrari. I mean, you look at Hamilton's still driving great now, and you look at Alonso, I mean, what's Alonso going to be now? Like 42-ish? 43? Something around that? Alonso's very much an old man right now, but well, in terms of F1, he's quite an old man for a driver. But I don't know, like how much mileage can you? Oh, Leclerc's gone off the fucking road again. It looks like either that or he's gone very, very deep on that curb. Outside of turn 10, now going into turn 11. Yeah, basically, I don't know. If I were Ferrari, I don't think I would have signed Lewis Hamilton. I don't know at this point. Like, as good as you are, at some point, the world, the sport moves on from that, moves on from you. Actually, as Lewis comes into the pits here, looks like so that's a slow stop. That didn't look like a very slick stop there. Oh, a little pinch of a break from Sergio Perez going into turn 1 as well. I'm not sure how long that pit stop was from Hamilton, but it did look slow. Looks like he dropped maybe a second and a half there. Which isn't great because he was trying to get by, well, trying to move his way further up the grid, and it's not going to help him get past the McLarens. In fact, now he's 2 seconds behind Piastri, isn't he? So here we go, Charles Leclerc. Is this, very deep in a 10, very, very deep. Just about wiped out Bottas as well. Whoops. So, yeah. Doesn't look like a great race for Ferrari so far. It's been very messy. Very messy. I don't know about Ferrari this year. Like, the package looks okay, but, I mean, it's nowhere near the Red Bull, as you can see. What, 11.9, 12 seconds to Verstappen and Sainz, so... it doesn't look particularly exciting, the Ferrari package either. Doesn't look very innovative, doesn't look quick. You know what I mean? Like, some cars really, really look quick and they look absolutely spectacular on the track, but Ferrari just kind of looks a bit meandering. I mean, especially compared to the Red Bull. The Red Bull just looks absolutely planted. So, you know, it is much the same as last year, really. Now, I wouldn't... And I know it sounds kind of silly saying it now, looking at the gap to the front and also seeing Perez about to get by George Russell, turn 4. Russell covers the inside. He's going to run wide though. Checo's going to try to get the switch on. Russell will try to hang it. No room. Checo's got him. Okay, now bear with me. Bear with me because I know how this is going to sound after that just now. I don't think Red Bull are going to win as many races as they did last year. If for no other reason that winning 21 out of 22 races is astonishing. It is absolutely ridiculous, and it can't keep happening, surely. I mean, you do, I don't know. Although that said, 2002 and then 2004 happened for Ferrari with Michael Schumacher, so who knows? Anything's possible. Ooh. So, Sainz is going to come out of his pit stop behind, just behind Charles Leclerc, so that didn't fucking work out, did it? Leclerc just saying he can't get out of front locking everywhere. Yeah, shit. I noticed that. You're locking up constantly, mate. It says to me that car's the balance of that car isn't great. So, lap 15, just about, around about, or just over a quarter of the way through the race, we've got Verstappen, Alonso, who hasn't pitted, Albon, who hasn't pitted, then Perez, Russell, Leclerc, Sainz, Norris, Piastri, Hamilton. That's your top 10. It's going to be interesting to see what Albon does this race, actually, because he can defend very well. I'm not expecting him to defend for shit against Perez in that Red Bull, but he can defend very well on old tyres. We saw it a few times last year. He was just amazing with it. Fernando Alonso has been told to box, so he will be pitting from second. There he goes into the pits. I'd expect Albon to come in now, surely. Yep, there he is. Albon in the pits. I mean, you can be a tyre whisperer all you want, but at some stage you have to change the things. It's not a great stop by Alonso, slow on the front left. Not great. And Alonso is coming out 4+ seconds behind Hamilton. Now he's behind Zhou Guan Yu as well. Not great. Zhou's actually jumped up that far. My goodness, I didn't even realize he had pitted yet. He has pitted. He has magicked his way up there. That's very impressive from It's very impressive from Zhou then, if that's genuine pace, because I heard after testing that the Sauber had more pace in it. Oh, Sainz and Leclerc are going at it again. Sainz just doesn't make it by in turn 11. So, I mean, I heard that the Sauber had a bit more pace in it, maybe than anybody else was really expecting after testing, but fuck, that's a pretty decent effort from Zhou. We'll see if we can keep Alonso behind. I wouldn't expect it. I think that Aston Martin is faster than the Sauber. I'd say Alonso's also a lot faster than Zhou as well, just naturally. So, bit of a DRS train now going. George Russell heading it. Which means, Sainz is still going to go for it on Leclerc at turn 1. He's made it. Oh, but Leclerc will have a bit of a DRS fight back here. Sainz has DRS as well. Now is Leclerc just going to send it? No, he's just going to keep it there. So 2 statement overtakes by Carlos Sainz on Charles Leclerc this year. So Sainz is really putting his flag up saying, somebody fucking hire me next year. And another thing, so what the Hamilton move does is basically completely shuffle the deck. There's a free Mercedes seat. It could go to Andrea Kimi Antonelli, who scored a point today in Formula 2. He will need to score enough points to get a super license to do it. Mercedes are thinking that he is the new Max Verstappen, who is pitting right now. So Mercedes are very, very convinced about Kimi Antonelli's potential. I'm very excited to see Kimi Antonelli, actually. Very, very excited to see what he can do. It's very early days yet, so we'll see. Very excited, but if he... my car is fully going to the right when I'm braking, says Charles Leclerc. Okay, we are checking. So Leclerc's really not happy with his car. Sainz is having a look at George Russell into turn 1 here. Fastest lap as well for Carlos Sainz too. He is absolutely on a mission here. Right on the arsehole of George Russell's car. Oh. He's got by as well. That's amazing. Okay, so Sainz clean around the outside, turn 4. Nailing it. It looked like, from the onboard, it looked like the fucking Mercedes just sharted itself in front of him. I don't know if George got like a massive surprise looking in his mirror to see Carlos Sainz just staring at him, but... well, that was fun. So fucking A, Carlos Sainz up to third. So the Ferrari's having very contrasting fortunes here today. A lot like the Mercedes, one is clearly going very well and one is clearly not going great. So you can even see on the visor there's a little bit of shit where he's just I think it's just a bit, I don't think it was oil or anything. It might have just been a bit of a chunk of tire or maybe something from the underboard when the car bottomed out. Look at, that's a few replays here of Charles Leclerc struggling to turn that Ferrari, locking up. That car's not great. There's something wrong with it. I don't think there's anything wrong with the driver. I'd say there's definitely something wrong with that car. Which is a great shame for Charles Leclerc. It's going to be another year of no championship for the poor bastard, and I feel for him because if he had a car, a bit like we've had with Fernando Alonso for the last 10 years, if he had a car, he would be there fighting for a championship, and it's a great shame that Ferrari have not given him the tools to be able to fight for a world championship. He had a great start in 2022, and I remember thinking after the Albert Park race, like, there's no way Leclerc misses this championship, and he's won, I think, 2/10 of fuck all. And to me, it's not Leclerc. There's the whole thing going around about Leclerc makes too many mistakes and shit like that. Like, I don't think any more than anybody else, really. I think just the car itself is not great. And when it's always on the edge, you know, it tends to go over the edge when you push it more. The alternative to that is just drive it well within its limits and just be bloody slow. But I don't think that that's in Charles Leclerc's repertoire. I think especially when you watch him qualifying in Q3, I think whatever Charles Leclerc has underneath him, he will absolutely wring the shit out of, which is awfully fun to watch. Very, very entertaining. Actually, that's one thing. Charles Leclerc's Q3 laps are just so much fun to watch. Like, just the raw speed that fella's got. Watching him just dance his car through corners, like, just right on the edge. Right on the edge of disaster is just something to behold. It's just phenomenal. He's, to me, he's the most spectacular driver to watch over one lap. Maybe even more than Max Verstappen. Replay there of Ricciardo going deep into turn 10. So there's a few cars that are kind of struggling in that corner right now. I'll be honest, Visa Cash App RB might be... Is it the worst name I've ever heard in F1? I'm not sure. I remember Spiker MF1 was a thing. And that was fucking goofy. I don't know, is there any more goofy than Alpha Tauri? I mean, I know it's... Like, Toro Rosso was Italian Red Bull, and I don't know, that's kind of clever, so I'll give it that. I was never that hot on that name. That's what JK looks like now? Holy shit. Wow. My god, it's been a while. Fucking crikey. You know when you just don't see a celebrity for like 10, 20 years? Like, they just kind of fall out of, maybe fall out of the limelight. You never watch their movies or hear their music or anything like that. And you just completely miss what they look like for a big chunk of time. And then you see them again after all of these years and they just look completely fucking different. Like, what the fuck is that dickhead's name? Cunt, sings for Limp Bizkit. Fred Durst. I didn't see him for fucking years. You know, not since nu metal was like the in thing. Completely disappeared. And, I don't know. Don't give a shit about that band, so I never listened to him. Never sought them out, don't care. And then I saw him turn up a couple years ago at Coachella or, I don't know, some fucking festival like that shit. And the guy looks like fucking bad grandpa. I can't fucking believe it. Anyway. So who we got here? Daniel Ricciardo and Esteban Ocon going at it for 15th place. So Alpine right now running 16th and 18th, making absolutely zero progress through this race. Fucking hell. I tell you what, of everybody, like Ferrari have built a car that is unspectacular. Like, it doesn't really stick out. And unless they maybe work some McLaren-esque magic on it, I don't see that car really contending for anything more than maybe podiums. Depending on the day, maybe a win here or there. But, you know, I mean, I didn't think that they'd get a win at all last year, and they were the only ones to win who were not Red Bull, which just fucking blows my mind, honestly, that it was that team, and Carlos Sainz as well, yeah, who did it is just incredible. However, McLaren, it doesn't look like they've kept their form from the end of last year. I think they've got a bit more work to do in their car, and I mean, everybody's going to have more bits to add to the cars and shit like that as the year goes on, but fuck me dead if Alpine have not built an absolute pig of a car. That thing, it looks slow, and it is slow, which is basically a death sentence for a Formula 1 car. I mean, if they look fast and they're going slow, then maybe you could do something with that. If they look slow but they go fast, hey, they're going fast, no problem. But if they look slow and they're going slow, then you're basically fucked. And I'm not sure what the fuck Alpine... I don't know what they're doing here. They're kind of like the French Haas. You know, there's no ambition to really get to the front. They'll put out a press release, or, you know, they'll try to sweet talk whoever's still listening to them about how they have, you know, this is the plan that we have to get to the front. Perez, you are super quiet, mate, speak louder. Shout, you need to shout. Shout, shout, let it all out, says Checo Perez to his engineer. Maybe his engineer's... Yeah, maybe his engineer's just trying to whisper him secrets rather than actually tell him any strategy. Who knows? Okay, so Mercedes been told to lift and coast apparently, so not great for them. That's either heating or fuel consumption. If they're both being told to do that, so what do they got? There's pretty decent gaps in front of them. I wonder if it's a fuel consumption issue. Maybe it's that and overheating, who knows? It's a good looking car this year, the Mercedes, I think. Like, the silver and the black sort of together. It reminds me a lot of the McLarens from about 25 years ago. The silver arrows, well, when they were the silver arrows. Fuck, I tell you what, those McLarens from like 97, 98, 99, 2000... they looked so bloody good. They really were just gorgeous, gorgeous race cars. Like, they looked fantastic. They were quick as shit. That's what I mean. They look quick and they are quick. Especially with Mika Häkkinen's helmet in it, it just looked fucking spectacular. But yeah, a good looking car from Mercedes this year. We'll see if it goes a bit better than it did last year, because right now it looks like it's a little bit more of the same. You know, riding just off the podium, flashes of speed here and there, but looks like yeah, especially if they're having overheating or fuel issues, fuck, it's not very good. And we'll see what Leclerc can do as well with his shopping trolley of a car. See if McLaren can do anything from here. See if Hamilton can do anything from here as well, because the fact that he's still 8th, I wasn't expecting. I thought that he would have made a bit more progress than that. It's kind of hard to read a Lewis Hamilton race, because sometimes he'll qualify or be penalised a bit further down the grid and he'll just absolutely tear through the field, but then other times he just sort of gets mired there and just never goes anywhere, never does anything with it. Oh, nice bit of visor cam here. So that would have to be Alex Albon. Yes, it is. Actually, what's also surprising, we're on lap 25 now of the first race of the year, and all the cars are still running. We've had a little bit of contact. We've had Logan Sargent pull off and then keep going, but you know, generally it's the start of the season that things tend to go bang and they fail, and you know, maybe you get technical gremlins that you didn't see during testing suddenly pop up, like what Leclerc retiring out of nowhere last year here, and Verstappen as well in 22. Hamilton, my seat is broken. Well, fuck, that explains why he's not going anywhere then. Shit. Well, yeah, if your seat's broken, there's not much you can really do about that. I don't think it's worth retiring that car, especially not when he's running 8th. You know, it's only 8th, but it is points. It'd be bloody uncomfortable though, and I'm not sure how safe it would be in a crash either, actually having a broken seat. Now, how it is broken, if it's cracked or if it's shifted or something like that, I think will be a mystery until after the race, but yeah, not looking good for Lewis today. Not looking good. And fuck me dead, Guan Yu Zhou is still running in 10th. Tsunoda's right on him too as well. So that'll actually be a pretty interesting battle to see. As we're watching Alex Albon trundle around in 14th. I think we should be watching that Sauber. I mean, shit, that's actually for a point. There we go. So Tsunoda is right up the back of him. Yeah, Tsunoda's having actually a pretty decent go of it. Ever since Gasly left that team. I mean, he demolished Nick DeVries, and he's really held his own well, I think, against Daniel Ricciardo, and it looks like he's doing it again today. So, I mean, in terms of empty seats next year, it's very, very interesting. The Mercedes seat is empty, and that's up for grabs. Aston Martin could have a seat empty, depending on what Alonso does, if he goes to Mercedes or if he just retires, you know. That'd be very interesting. So what the Ferraris are accounted for, McLaren's are accounted for, but I think everybody else has a seat or two that are absolutely up for grabs. Checo's final year of a contract as well this year. And I get the feeling if he was only signed through 23, then they would have booted him after last year as well. I mean, he did end up finishing second after all, but he was just so comically behind Verstappen, and it's good for Red Bull right now to have Verstappen, to have Horner, to have Newey, to have all of these bits in place. And these bits all work very well together, and they result in a championship year where he finishes light years ahead of the field. But I do wonder what Red Bull will do. I mean, this is looking quite ahead into the future, but I do wonder what they'll do when one or both of them leave. That being Verstappen and Horner. Well, more Verstappen and Newey, really, because Horner might be getting his pink slip before we even get to Saudi. You never know. None of my dash is working because of the screen. It says Alex Albon, so whoops. So Alex Albon's having a little bit of issues there. So we're at lap 28. Verstappen, Perez, Sainz, Russell, Leclerc, Norris, Piastri, Hamilton, Alonso, and Joe. That's your top 10. Tsunoda right behind Joe in 11th. Here's a replay of Lewis Hamilton. What's he done here? Just missed the apex at turn 10. Taking the Charles Leclerc line through that corner. I mean, he didn't lock a tyre, which is good news. And here's a little bit of Max Verstappen as well. On screen. Stroll in the pits. There he goes. Looks like a pretty bog standard. Again, not the quickest time. 2.8 seconds for Stroll. It looks like I think the pit crews are maybe just a little bit out of balance. It doesn't look like there's like a stuck wheel nut on any of these things. They're just about half a second to a second slower than they, I think, normally would be when they're really in the rhythm. And Stroll continues to go on. So just looking at the field now, it looks like basically everybody's gapped except for Tsunoda right behind Zhou Guan Yu, and then Albon right behind Magnussen. Everybody else has a little bit of a look like radio tire life is longer than expected. Will anybody be brave enough to do a one stop? I mean, they're all on hards right now. They all started on softs and they're all on hards. So I do wonder. I mean, Stroll stopped again, so there is that. Hulkenberg stopped 7 laps ago for his second stop, although his first one was changing a nose cone. No, he did change tyres in the first one because he went to hards. Oh, Joe in the pits, so he's going to try to do the undercut again. See if it works. Let's see if Sauber can nail the stop. Yeah, pretty okay. That's not that bad. 2.7. Again, it's not really like the 2.2 second sort of super stops that we're used to seeing, but I mean, it's not catastrophic. It's not bad, and he's come out in front of Lance Stroll, which is exactly what they would have wanted. Oh, big twitch from Joe coming out of 3 there, right in the apex of the corner. It looked like the car just wanted to fuck off over the rail. So that's bad news for that's bad news for Stroll then coming out. Bad news for Stroll with Joel coming out right in front of him. That'll basically fuck. Well, it'll fuck all of his undercutting or attempted undercutting. He won't be able to put the speed that he wants in with another car right in front of him. And well, I'm not sure what Stroll's really going to get out of this race anyway. I'm not sure it really matters. I mean, everybody's just basically kind of gapping. I think they're all quite comfortable with where they are. It feels... I mean, it's lap 30. We've got 27 laps to go. Verstappen is just so fucking far ahead already. Good grief. But just looking at the gaps, I don't know. Like Leclerc, I don't think has the confidence in his car to really put anything by George Russell. Maybe they'll try an undercut there. Who knows? But I think it's a bit like it used to be back in the refueling days, where everybody mostly waits for the pit stops to try to do their overtaking for them. You know, I get the feeling F1 should probably start its season not at Bahrain, but maybe Saudi Arabia would be fun, because that Jeddah track is just spectacular, and if nothing else, you would have a lot of entertainment watching it, because this is... There's not a whole lot of jeopardy going on right now. There's not a whole lot of intrigue. The podium looks like it's basically set, so unless we get some sort of retirement, you know what, I get the feeling this could be, may as well even be the final lap. I think the only real interesting point now is who's going to get that final, well, the final point paying position. Who's going to get 10th? Is it going to be Tsunoda? Is it going to be Magnussen, Albon, or is it going to be Joel? I'll tell you who it won't be, and that'll be Alpine. I mean, not unless something fucking crazy happens. Which you never know, but you kind of know. Speaking of Kevin Magnussen, here he is. Running 11th, slight lock up into turn 10. It's a very difficult corner, actually, turn 10. That 9-10 complex, because it just... It falls away from the car, like, you know, it's quite downhill, and you got to basically turn as you have to hit the brakes harder. It's an interesting corner. It's about the... Oh, here we go. That's going to be Bottas in the pits. Okay, that's not a good stop. That looks like... Wait, his new tyre has just come off. So what are they doing? Russell's in the pits as well. What the fuck are they doing? Anyway, Russell's in the pits now. God knows what Sauber are doing. I think the Audi takeover can't come fast enough, honestly. Okay, and now Bottas rejoins. So he keeps going again. I think Bottas has a bit of his front wing flicked out as well. I thought I saw that a few laps ago. Yeah, he does. So that must be damage from the start of the race. I mean, it doesn't look like that bit's going to fall off, but, you know, it's not great. Not great for Bottas, but he's not running into points, so I wonder if he'll give a shit. God, that is just such a fantastic look that he's got going on right now. The bleached mullet and the mustache. I have seen dozens of Valtteri Bottases in my hometown. I'll put it that way. Dozens. In fact, the mullet is back. It is really, really back. You see it in the football. You see it on fucking work sites, and I imagine you'd see it in nightclubs as well if anybody went out anymore. It's a bold look. It's a brave look for Valtteri Bottas. But he can pull it off. I actually don't think it looks that wrong, to be honest. Maybe he's a secret bogan, who knows. Just incidentally, my partner has that Valtteri Bottas calendar on the fridge right now, and the month of March he is cooking bacon and eggs in an apron and nothing else, and well, at least she enjoys it. It's quite the thing to see when you're just trying to reach for a fucking pint of milk in the morning. Lance Stroll gets past Zhou Guanyu into turn 1. Oh, so Zhou's really going to have to get a move on here. That did not go to plan. That's not part of the plan for Zhou. He needs to get by Stroll ASAP if he's going to get 10th. I mean, shit, decent overtake for Stroll. Well done. So this is on board now with George Russell, coming up behind Fernando Alonso. Norris and Hamilton had just hit the pit lane as well. So we're starting to cycle through the second round of stops. Ooh. Alonso tucks right in behind Russell as he goes by on the front straight, and it's all over. Russell is ahead, and that will probably be good night, see you later. So it's nice to see Piastri's actually keeping up with Norris. Doing a lot better than the last Aussie that they had in that McLaren seat. It's going to be fun to see how Piastri develops over the next couple of years, I think. I don't know why, but maybe it's just because I'm a bit words fail me at 3 in the AM. Maybe he's a bit of a clean freak. Don't let the beard fool you. But every time I see like a big chunk of debris and it's off the road, off the racing line, whatever, and it's out of the way, and there's no need for a marshal to risk his life on the outside of a corner to run and pick it up. It's not interfering. It's not on the racing line or anything like that. It's not even on the track. But it just bugs me fucking seeing it lap after lap. It's not clean. I mean, none of this shit is clean in it, but just when I see a big chunk of car sitting out there, I don't know, it just kind of bugs me. Just a bit of a personal update for all of y'all. That's a quick stop for Piastri. Goodness me. It's not going to keep him ahead of Norris though, because Norris is through. Oh, is he going to be able to beat Hamilton? No, Hamilton's going to get him. Oh, Piastri will keep it on the inside. Piastri. Oh, fucked it up though. Hamilton gets through. So Hamilton absolutely undercut him there. Good stuff. So Piastri did have the track position, but the tyres just aren't up to temperature yet. And Hamilton is absolutely on it coming into turn 1 and just managed to snake his way through. So, yeah, good work, Lewis. 8th place. You know, I was looking forward to... And I can't really believe that I'm saying this after 2021. We'd seen just Mercedes over and over. But as Sainz comes into the pits, I was kind of looking forward to a more competitive Mercedes taking the fight to Red Bull, but also just the dynamic between Lewis, who's leaving the team, Russell, who's trying to establish himself in that team, how they would really get on, how hard they would race each other when a world championship's at stake. I think Russell and Hamilton, well, they had a couple of run-ins last year, didn't they? They had a little touch on the main straight in Catalonia. They had a lot of very close racing in Suzuka as well. It would have been interesting to see their dynamic with a world championship at stake. But it looks like we're not going to get that, which is a shame. You know, I remember thinking back in 2007 when Hamilton came in and he and Alonso were in the McLaren, and I just thought, man, if you just had Schumacher in that Ferrari, it's just one of those maybe like what could have been sort of battles, you know. 2 boxers or 2 footballers or something from different generations who just never quite meet each other. Maybe the generations are just a little too far apart, but they're pretty close, but they just don't quite battle each other. Oh well, fuck it, that's life. See, it is 3 o'clock in the morning, and we're on lap 37. And I tell you what, if you're still watching this Grand Prix, congratulations, you are a true fan, because there really isn't a lot going on here. Perez is in the pits. It always feels like a bit of a damp squib when they come to Bahrain to start the season and just nothing really happens at the start of the race. Sainz is on it. As Checo comes out of the pits, oh no. I think Checo's got, what, about a second on him, 2 seconds on him. I think once they really get back up to speed, second and a half it is. But I think that'll be enough of a gap for Checo to stay ahead. Yeah, no problem. So Checo on the softs. We'll see if he can hold on for the rest of the race on softs. I think 20 laps. 20 laps is a bit of a stint. I don't think that it's a crazy stint to run on soft tyres. They would be the new soft tyres, I get the feeling, that Perez would be running. Now, what's Verstappen going to run? Is he going to put on the softs? He'll probably put on the hards. No, Verstappen's going the softs. Well, Red Bull are very confident that the soft tyres will hold on then. We'll keep an eye on this. Okay, well, lap 38, we have a little bit of intrigue. Fucking finally. The Red Bulls both on softs, so 19-20 laps is what they're going to have to do on those tyres. Verstappen has a lot of time on his side. He doesn't have to push those tyres really at all. Sainz is right up on the back of Perez. 1.6. If Carlos can keep that gap close, and Checo is on the softs, but I don't think Checo is going to be able to push those tyres and keep them for 20 laps. So if Sainz can keep him within a reasonable touching distance, I almost feel like I'm in cope mode here. Just me as a Sainz fan. I don't think he's gonna win. Flat out, I don't think he's gonna win. And he's up against the tyre whisperer, Checo Perez, who is in a car that is gonna be as light as it ever would be on fuel by the end of the race, on a track that is as rubbered in as it ever gets. So, for my money, I think it depends on how adventurous Sainz wants to be. My money is that Checo stays ahead of second. No, stays ahead in second, rather. And look at that, 2 seconds, 2.1 seconds now. So he's using that soft tire to his advantage for now. We'll see what the gap will be when he starts backing off. If it's anything like 5 or 6 seconds, then consider it all ogre. If we hit lap 52, 53, and Sainz is within a second, then all bets are off. So this is one of those no peeking till it's done cooking sort of things. We'll come back to this. Lap 52, 53, we'll have another look at this. Unless one of them, Checo or Sainz, if one of them goes off, then again, all bets are off. But Lewis Hamilton ride on Fernando Alonso. Tsunoda ride on Hulkenberg. So Tsunoda's having a pretty feisty race. It's been Tsunoda's going to come out of this smelling like farts. He's been right up the arsehole of drivers the entire fucking race. Hamilton breezes by Alonso again on the front straight. So that Aston doesn't look that spectacular, does it? It's like a green Ferrari, but slower. So Hamilton up to 7th. Now 5 seconds to Norris ahead of Lewis. Tsunoda gets past Hulkenberg as well. Good work, Yuki. Yuki be an interesting one as well. If he can really stamp his authority on the Red Bull shit team and on that car this year, then I get the feeling maybe Red Bull will have a look at him. I know that Helmut Marko was very hot on Yuki when he was coming out of F2. Is very, very keen on him. There's a lot of raw speed in that kid. A lot of raw speed. It needed a lot of refinement. He needed a lot of telling of things like, hey, you actually have to train to drive these cars and things like that. But he's a rough diamond, but it would be interesting to see what Yuki could do in a Red Bull. That said, I've never heard his name seriously mentioned in connection with that seat. The fact that they brought Daniel Ricciardo in at all, I think, shows just how little faith that they really have in Yuki to take over that seat. And it's not not like Drive to Survive would have you believe. Nick DeVries wasn't booted that quickly just because he was struggling. That was only half the story. Checo was struggling. Checo was really, really struggling, and it was Ricardo's test for Red Bull that started that whole Nick DeVries booted chain of events really going. I think Nick was just collateral damage and all of that. I mean, the whole Nick DeVries thing, to me, was a big disappointment. I like Nick. I liked what he had in F2. He's a Formula E champion. He's a world endurance winner. You know, he's got a very established. Looked like that Haas was holding back there on the straight. Just a replay of Yuki getting past Hulkenberg. And it looked like Hulkenberg was hanging back. Like, he wasn't really fighting that move. I think he was trying to wait for the DRS detection to try to get Yuki back into turn 1, but didn't work. What was I saying? Nick DeVries. Yeah, I thought it was a shame, but well, that's Formula One, isn't it? That's F1. I mean, you come in and you perform, or eventually, be it mid-season or at the end of the season, you'll be replaced. These guys are fast, mate, says Lewis Hamilton. He can't be talking about Ferrari. No, he's actually talking about the McLaren. Maybe they're just fast compared to the Mercedes. Fuck, wait till he sees a Red Bull. So, lap 41 and 57. Here we go. Lap 41, so Verstappen, Perez, Sainz, Russell, Leclerc, Norris, Hamilton, Piastri, Alonso, and Stroll is your top 10. Alonso still has to make his second stop. I don't know why they're waiting so long to do this, actually. I think it's pretty fucking clear that the hard tyre will not make it. I mean, God, when did he make his first stop? In the teens? It's never going to make it 40 plus laps around here. Especially when you put those tyres on when the car is still big and heavy, and then it has to do, what, 40 or so laps at this track? I just don't see it. No, it sounds like they're got tyres ready for Alonso, so that story is done. In fact, here is Fernando Alonso into the pits. Yeah. It's like a bit of a bog standard stop for Alonso there as well. Nothing spectacular again. Something I think in the upper 2-second range that was. It's like that's a Haas pulling out of the pit, so that'll be Nico Hulkenberg. Yes, it is. So Alonso, 3 seconds to Joe, 7 seconds, 7.5 seconds to Stroll. Yeah, Alonso can do that easy. So I think for my money, Alonso will finish probably 9th, Stroll will finish 10th. And it looks like Joe in this Sauber, unluckily, is going to finish 11th. Now, one thing, this race running green, basically green from start to finish, apart from that very minor local yellow flag for the sergeant off before, was there's been just no opportunity for any of the guys at the back to use a safety car to jump ahead or to shuffle the pack, or maybe even just to catch up, you know, bunch everybody back, and then maybe you could do something. Maybe you could at least finish a little bit closer to the leader or a little bit closer to the cars ahead of you, but Yeah, there's really nothing doing today. So 3.2 seconds, Sainz to Perez. Watching right now, Leclerc and George Russell going at it. Not like that, calm down. 0.7 seconds, Leclerc is behind George Russell. Well, Leclerc's car seems to have come a little bit more alive. I wonder if it was just the tyres that weren't agreeing with him earlier. So, fuck it. I mean, this race is, I think it's basically sorted. I don't know. I think Leclerc maybe... In fact, it looks like Leclerc is probably going to get past George Russell here. It's not the most exciting thing in the world to fight for 4th place. It might be the most exciting thing that Russell and Leclerc get for a good chunk of the season. Science, when do we expect the hard to be quicker than the soft? And his engineer, I'll come back to you. I don't think they've even thought about it, Carlos. You know, the ray of light, I think that science can look for, you know, behind the dark cloud of getting the boot from Ferrari at the end of this season, is that at least he doesn't have to put up with this fucking ridiculous bullshit anymore. Just absolute bollocks. Around this lap, the hard should be faster than the soft. Well, we'll see. I did say we'll come back about lap 51, 52 and see what the gap is as Alonso gets past Zhou Guanyu for the final point. I get the feeling that'll be the top 10 sorted right there then. Gasly in the pits, God knows what for. Probably to retire maybe to retire the car. Maybe he's absolutely embarrassed driving that thing. I think the disappointment in Alpine today is probably matched by the disappointment watching their launch, their livery launch. And I don't mean, Leclerc having a little look at Russell. Not quite. And I'm not talking about when they launched the actual livery that they run, that mostly black thing, and it's got a little bit of blue and a little bit of red near the back and shit like that. But when they were teasing, like, now we're going to go show you the pink BWT livery. Yes, let's see the pink livery. And then they showed the fucking video link back to the pink dressed up car, and it was exactly the fucking same. Exactly the same. Like 90% black with a tiny bit of pink on the back. Like a pink car. That's how disappointing they are this weekend. They're as disappointing as being promised a pink car and you get mostly black. I mean, Barbie would be furious. Could you imagine? So Leclerc sticking right on Russell here. 3.2 seconds Perez to Sainz. That's the big one I'm looking for here. Because Russell is still 10 seconds behind Sainz, so I think even if Leclerc gets this, he's never going past 4th, so we'll see. I think this is going to have to be a real statement from George Russell here. He's got 11 laps. If he can keep Leclerc back here, I think it says a lot. I think it says a lot that he could lead that team the way that Lewis Hamilton has been leading the team. And I mean just getting results that you shouldn't be able to get. And I think that's one big thing that Lewis can do, that Verstappen can do, that Alonso can do. Those three specifically will win races or get podiums or even get positions, poles, whatever, that they shouldn't be able to get. Every time you win a race that you shouldn't, I think it's a mark of a real great. I mean, there are some races like Panis in Monaco from 14th on the grid because everybody else crashed out and shit like that. That's a race he probably shouldn't have won. But if you can win a race where there is no ridiculous fuck ups like that. Ooh, and as I'm talking about that, Russell's locked up and he's gone wide at turn 10. He's off the track. They're dragging each other down the back straight into turn 11. Leclerc's going to get ahead. It's all over. So, well, this is what I'm talking about. Getting positions that you shouldn't. Now, Russell... What's Russell? 3 lap old tyres than Charles Leclerc. And that car, I don't think is as quick as the Ferrari anyway, but... Could Lewis have done it? Maybe, who knows. We'll see. You know, I'm surprised that Leclerc's car's actually come back to him. Because it just looked so unstable at the start of the race. For a good big chunk of the race earlier, it looked like the car was just driving on its own. Like he had lag on the steering. So Russell, half a second now behind Leclerc. So that was a bit of a fuck up from George. We'll see if he can get it back as they come into turn 4. Oh, no, you could see the apex that Russell's taken through there. Like a lot more of a turn. You know, he's having to turn the car for a lot longer. Like it's drifting out wide at the exit of turn 4 there. I don't think he's got really the grip. I don't think he's got the grip, either that or he just flat out does not have the car underneath him. Like whether it be tyres or just mechanically, downforce, whatever. I don't think he has the car underneath him that Leclerc seems to have now. So, and if that's true, that's bad news for Mercedes. They got a lot more work to do on that car. A lot more work to do. Meanwhile, Verstappen, 17 seconds ahead of Perez, who is 3.5 seconds now ahead of Sainz. So what are we, lap 48? Unless that gap starts to shrink very soon, I'd say that your top 3 is basically locked in. And then Leclerc and Russell, we'll see. Russell's now a second and a half behind, so that might be the top 5 already locked in. 3.5 seconds to Norris, 3.5 seconds to Hamilton, 4.5 seconds to Piastri. I'd say it's probably your top 8 locked in. 27 seconds back to Stroll, and then Alonso less than a second behind him. So let's see what these guys do. Now, remember Spain last year, Stroll finished ahead of Alonso on pace, actually, amazingly. Well, pace and a little bit of tactics as well. But Alonso didn't even have a go at him at the end. He, you know, almost like he's taking Stroll under his wing and trying to coach him, trying to what do they call it in wrestling? Give him the rub, you know. I have greatness and I'll pass some of it off to you if you follow my coaching and stick next to me. That sort of stuff. Meanwhile, Guan Yu Zhou has dropped 6.5 seconds behind Alonso, so I'd say his time in the points is done as Alonso goes right by Lance Stroll into 9th. So it is going to be 9th and 10th, it looks like, for Aston Martin, unless something catastrophic happens. And, you know, everyone's actually been very well behaved, except for Hülkenberg into turn 1 at the start of the race. I think everybody's been very well behaved today. And Sargent pulled off earlier. Bottas, Hülkenberg got involved at turn 1. In fact, you know what? That was Stroll who got turned around at turn 1 as well, so he's had a hell of a comeback. That memory has only just made its way back to the front of my addled brain. Yeah, it was Stroll who got turned around in turn 1. And he's turned. That's a hell of a fucking drive. That's a great recovery drive. I think that's a fucking outstanding recovery drive. So, yeah. Well done, Lance. Very, very well done, Lance. Good work. That said, Sargent had a little off mechanical, but it looks like it's fine now. Bottas as well had his pit stop blunder, and not his fault, but he also had that turn one fuck up as well. Hulkenberg as well. And I think from memory, Gasly had one extra stop from everybody else. But apart from that, it looks mostly like all the teams are keeping very close to each other. 2 Red Bulls, 2 Ferraris, Mercedes, McLaren, all in a Big Mac sandwich, and both the Aston Martins. And both the Red Bull shits are together. Everybody else kind of got separated by circumstance. So it looks almost like a continuation of testing, really, where basically what you've got is where you're going to finish. There's not really any jeopardy to this race, which makes it so much fun to talk about at 3:24 in the AM. But, you know, I'll stop complaining. You know, races like this are a lot easier to take when there has been absolutely fucking no Formula 1 for the last 3 months. Not that this off-season was short of news. It was short of had a whole lot of shit going on, which I've been waffling on about earlier today. So Ricciardo right on the back of Tsunoda then, who looks very close to Magnussen too. 7 laps to go, so Magnussen versus the Red Bull shits. This looks like it'll be our entertainment for the rest of the race, because right now it's Verstappen, 19 seconds back to Perez, 4 seconds to Sainz, 11, nearly 12 seconds back to Leclerc, 3.5 to Russell, 2.3 to Norris. Oh, it's catching up a tiny bit. 4.5 to Hamilton, 4 seconds to Piastri, 25 to Alonso, 5 seconds already to Stroll. So yeah, Stroll is struggling on those older tyres now. Might even have a bit of car damage too. It doesn't look like Joe's going to catch Stroll either. So this right here on screen right now, K-Mag, Tsunoda, Ricciardo. This is our entertainment for the next 7 laps until we get entertained by another rendition of the Dutch national anthem. So let's see. Again, I don't know. I don't know if it's harsh that that Tsunoda hasn't been considered for the Red Bull seat, for Perez's Red Bull seat, like Ricciardo has. Because Yuki is holding himself well. It just tells me that they're just maybe Red Bull aren't 100% convinced by him, and they've got some juniors coming up. In fact, there's a few juniors. The F2 series this year is actually pretty chock full of them. I mean, there's always going to be your no-hopers and your hangers-on, and just young men on tour, basically, through their early 20s until they give up the racing dream. But, I mean, the junior category's not wanting for talent. Okay, just nothing radio there. The junior categories aren't like wanting for talent. They're absolutely filled with it. But unfortunately for them, there's a whole lot of people who seem to just get to F1 and then just never leave. I mean, Alonso's still there. Hamilton's still there. Checo's still there. Ricciardo's still there. All of these guys have been around for forever. Hulkenberg somehow is still there. You could even say Bottas is still there. So, actually, another thing, now that I think about it. Oh, driver swap. Well, this is what you get. Red Bull as well. So, Visa, Cash App, Red Bull shit want to do a driver swap when they are right up the arsehole. I mean, Yuki just has to reach out and he could probably pinch Kevin Magnussen's ass. That's how close he is to him. And now they wanted to do a driver swap with Ricciardo behind him. God knows why. Or maybe they're talking about Verstappen coming through to lap him. Driver swap, you get out of the way. It's a bit like Suzuka last year with the Alpines, where they wanted a driver swap, and Gasly was just incensed by it, absolutely incensed. Well, I mean, Ricardo is on the softs, but they are 16 laps old, and there Yuki goes. See, the thing is, Yuki not just immediately jumping out of the way. It's this weird sort of thing where it's going to be... It will piss off his team, but it might actually make Helmut Marko like him a little bit more. In fact, disobeying rules like that might be what lands Yuki a Red Bull seat in a very weird way. I mean, I say this, he probably won't get it, but... I'm not sure about the Red Bull juniors that they got coming up either. Red Bull have a lot of faith in Isaac Hadjar. Well, at least some faith in Isaac Hadjar. Which I personally... I don't see it. I think he's quick, but I just don't think he has... You know, when I think of like a Red Bull Junior, I think like who could replace Max Verstappen? Who is good enough to take the fight to Max, or at least replace Checo? Who is good enough to do that? Who could replace him? Isaac Hadjar, I'm not buying it. They dropped Dennis Hauger, and he was an F3 champion. Sonoda Radio. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Willie's learning sarcasm. Chin up, Yuki. Chin up, mate. He should just try to stick as close as he can to Ricardo. And if Ricardo can't get past K-Mag, then he should be able to do that quite easily, and then just send it on the final lap. Just saying, yeah, the Red Bull driver program's actually kind of it's an interesting thing, because they were really the proper pioneers. I mean, every like Mercedes had like a young driver program kind of thing, but Red Bull cast a really wide net. They brought a lot of decent talent in, and I think the big thing is that they gave them they had two teams where at least one team where they said, here is the F1 seat. If you perform, you will have it. It's not like Mercedes had a young driver, Nick Heidfeld, who they put in a Prost and then in a Sauber, and then it just kind of never went anywhere from there. Until he left them, went for BMW, via Jordan and Sauber as well. It's... Anyway... Just getting distracted by Ted Kravitz talking absolute shite. But, I mean, I think back to, like, classic Red Bull young drivers when you had, like, Daniel Ricciardo coming through, Buemi, who was a endurance and Formula E champion, come through, Jean-Eric Vergne, same thing, Sebastian Vettel, for fuck's sake, Max Verstappen, I'd say he's more of a half junior, because they jumped on him really late. Well, actually, no, they did jump on him early enough. I mean, he was in his first season of car racing, because they offered him the F1 seat immediately. Kind of skews maybe his typical development compared to a lot of other drivers in terms of time frame, but I'm just not that convinced by the Red Bull young drivers that they got now, like the current crop. Now Yuki's complaining about Ricciardo's speed. He's not fast at all. God bless you. God bless you, Yuki. That's very entertaining. Lap 55, and we made it. We've got some proper entertainment. Well done, mate. Thank goodness for Yuki Tsunoda. Keeping us all entertained at arsehole o'clock. Anyway. Well, I've been looking at that. Here comes Max Verstappen across the line to start his penultimate lap. Now, 2 laps to go. 2 laps to go. Verstappen, Perez, Sainz, Leclerc, Russell, Norris, Hamilton, Piastri, Alonso, Stroll. That's probably how it's going to finish. And then Joe, Magnussen, Ricciardo, Tsunoda, all in a little sandwich. Then you've got Albon, Hulkenberg, Ocon, Gasly, Bottas, Sargent. Everybody looks like they're going to finish. Everyone's going to finish. Not all on the lead lap. But everybody looks like they will finish this race. I can't remember the last time that's happened. I can't remember the last time the opening races had every car finish. I'm not sure if it's happened before. Maybe it's happened. It tends to happen quite often now. A lot more often than it used to, that you'd have every car finish. I think technology has just improved so much, and the money, the investment, mechanical investment, things like that have improved so much in this sport that, you know, they make cars that are quick and can finish as well. Unlike in the 90s, the 80s, the 70s, where they make cars that are quick, but they just eat their lunchboxes, or eat their gearboxes rather for lunch. Probably eat a lunchbox too. So, well, driver of the day for myself. I mean, Sainz has been very spectacular. I think Sainz is a good shout. I mean, Verstappen has absolutely stamped his authority. Perez has had a decent recovery from his qualifying, but Sainz putting the passes on his teammate twice as well, because he did get screwed by his pit stop. So Stroll, a decent recovery as well. But no, I think for me, Carlos Sainz, probably man of the day, man of the match, driver of the hour. So, good work, buddy. Oh, I'll tell you what, the Visa Cash App RBs are really giving us a lot of entertainment in this final lap. And not only on the radio, this is actually very, very close. Oh, as I say this, into turn 8, Ricciardo has a big bit of opposite lock right in the apex. It's like it just didn't want to slow down enough for that corner. They're really, really close to each other back there. I don't think K-Mag will have the DRS. He won't. Ricciardo and Tsunoda are right next to him, and they're both driving angry. Tsunoda's driving very angry, and we're just not going to see it. Apparently, we're just going to watch Max Verstappen go around. So, well done, F1. Just looking at it, looks like... well, Ricciardo wasn't able to make a bye yet, so either he's going to absolutely Hail Mary it, going into the final corner, or it's fucked. Either way, speaking of final corner, around comes Max Verstappen, over the line and wins. Max Verstappen wins Bahrain. Well done, lad. Well done. Good stuff. 22.5 seconds he has over Checo Perez. 22.5 seconds. So Verstappen, Perez, Sainz in third. Great podium. Well done, Carlos. We'll see what that can do in terms of his future prospects. I can't imagine that Sainz will be looking for a job for very long. In fact, I get the feeling he will just be picking and choosing his more than anything. And I will say one thing as well, after going on and on about the Red Bull Young Driver Program and shit like that. To me, Carlos Sainz to Red Bull in Checo's seat might make too much sense to not happen. I mean, an ex-Red Bull Junior, he's got the speed, he's got the tech. He would be a fantastic support for Max Verstappen. To me, Red Bull should be trying to get Carlos Sainz on board as ASAP as they can. Anyway, Verstappen, Perez, Sainz, Leclerc, Russell, Norris, Hamilton, Piastri, Alonso, Stroll is your top 10. Yeah, so end of the day, Stroll finished 10th. Everybody else is a lap down, so that's Joe, K-Mag, Ricciardo, Tsunoda, who had that late swap, which I get the feeling we're going to hear a little bit more about later. Out of Yuki, at least, he's going to be very, very angry with that. And then we've got Albon in 15th, Hulkenberg, Ocon, Gasly, Bottas, and Sargent. Now, Bottas and Sargent both had big mechanical fuck-ups. And Bottas also had that first turn rather, bit of bad luck as well. But Alpine finishing dead last, not just qualifying, but finishing for all intents and purposes dead last. Ugh, that's gotta hurt. If that doesn't get some kind of response out of Renault, then I mean, you may as well just stick a fork in that team. Well, shit. I hope everybody had fun. Whoever was watching this. And look at that, everybody agrees with me. Carlos Sainz, 19th career podium, driver of the day. So, I mean, it was a Max Verstappen steamroller. Probably not the most interesting championship starter that I've ever seen. In fact, it really wasn't. So thanks for sticking with me if you did. I don't know, perhaps maybe I was a little bit more entertaining than this race. Not that I would have taken much. Either way, actually this is the most entertaining part so far. Fireworks all around the Sakhir circuit as Max Verstappen gets out. You can see Yuki Tsunoda behind. He's... You know, you can tell when people are walking angry. Looks like he's walking angry. Max Verstappen flexing, fireworks going off in the background. Kino as fuck. Max Verstappen winner, and it looks every bit the 2024 four-time world champion that he will probably become by maybe August, September. Checo Perez second as well, so he's started it okay, I think. Qualifying wasn't fantastic, and he was 22.5 seconds behind Verstappen, but, you know, as long as the magic is working at that team, I don't think it really matters, honestly, where Checo wins. I don't know. Now, this doesn't mean that the whole season's a write-off. We've seen it before. Remember what McLaren 98 finished just such an easy 1-2 in Australia, and that championship went down to the line against Schumacher in the Ferrari, so it's not always a sure thing after one race. You don't know what will happen, but what we do know is Red Bull have absolutely started well. They have started about as perfectly as they ever could have. Never in doubt. Never in doubt. Max Verstappen, Sergio Perez, very, very strong recovery drive from very early on. It was never in doubt that he would finish second. Mercedes with a bit of work to do. Lewis Hamilton, broken seat. Yeah, a lot of work to do there. McLaren looks like they've still got a little bit of work to do as well. Aston Martin with a bit of work to do too. And the RBs weren't as quick as I thought they might be. Remember hearing that they were going to take a whole lot more on board from Red Bull, from the Red Bull car and from Red Bull itself, in terms of building the car and running it. But looks like they've built a pretty bloody solid midfield car. So, you know, the fears of a Red Bull 1, 2, 3, 4 finish, I think, were maybe a bit overplayed. So, Verstappen is about to be interviewed by David Coulthard. So cool. I think that is basically it. I'm not sure I've got anything else to really add to this. Verstappen wins it at a canter. Not a lot of incidents to really talk about. Just another race for the books, I guess. Another win for Max Verstappen. That's what, win 55, 56 or something for him now? Fucking incredible. It's definitely more than 50. I think he's got more than Prost now. In fact, I'm pretty sure that he's got more than Vettel. And he was 54. 55. There we go. 55 wins for Max Verstappen. How about that? That's just incredible. He won't be on 70 by the end of the year, because mathematically he couldn't be. But it will be interesting to see just how close to 70 wins he can get. I mean, this is... He's not everyone's cup of tea. Personally, I love the guy, but He is just phenomenal. He is a phenomenal, amazing driver. Just like a tailor-made, perfect Grand Prix driver is Max Verstappen. Like, like they crank him out of a factory. He's just brilliant. And this is maybe it's repetitive, but it's also just you are seeing greatness. I just want to say that you are really seeing absolute great. Like when they talk about, I don't know, Senna, Prost, and Schumacher. I mean, I was there for the Schumacher years, and you could see greatness when it was happening, even when it was win, 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 win. It wasn't always the most surprising results after a race, but just seeing it happen was just so incredible. So seeing Messi, you know, like you could, it's good to just appreciate it as it's there. I think is a lesson for that. Anyway, uh, it's been nice to be back. It's been lovely to be back, actually. Um, yeah, I've got really nothing else to add to that. Thank you very much for watching wherever you are. I think it's time to wave the checkered flag on this thing. So, um, Saudi Arabia next week. I'll be back. It will be even later than this. So, Lord help. Hopefully, I'll might just neck a coffee or something for the next one. Hopefully, we actually have a little bit more of a fun race to watch because, I mean, Verstappen is amazing and it is incredible seeing these walkovers, but God, it sure would be nice for something to actually happen in these races. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me. Have a good week. I'll see you next time. Thank you very much. Bye bye for now.